Hold up! Because fans are doing double takes after Remy Ma and Papoose were reportedly spotted together again after months of separation. And the timing has everyone asking the same question. Are they really spinning the block? Because if they are, that could explain why Claressa Shields has been moving the way she's been online lately. Let's be clear from the jump. Nothing has been officially confirmed. No statements. No paperwork made public. No "we're back together" announcement. But when familiar faces start popping up at familiar times, people notice. And once the internet notices, speculation runs wild. According to circulating chatter, Remy Ma and Papoose were seen in close proximity again, and fans immediately started connecting dots. Not just about them, but about Claressa Shields, who has been posting, explaining, defending, and reacting in ways that some viewers are calling emotional, defensive, and very telling. Coincidence or reaction? This whole situation feels messy because it sits at the intersection of marriage, separation, and someone new stepping into a situation that may not have been fully closed. People are questioning motives, questioning timing, questioning who actually knew what, and when. And once married people are involved, emotions don't stay contained. What's making this even more confusing is the mixed messaging. On one side, Claressa Shields appears to be pushing a "nothing to see here" narrative. On the other, Remy Ma's recent moves, including resurfaced content and carefully timed uploads, are being interpreted by fans as anything but random. So now everyone's asking, is this a quiet reconciliation, a strategic flex? Or just co-parenting being misread by an internet that's already on edge? Because if Papoose really is back in Remy Ma's orbit, that changes everything. And it puts Claressa Shields in a very uncomfortable position publicly. And once that realization hit, fans stopped scrolling. Because this isn't just gossip anymore. It's a triangle with history, pride, and unfinished business. To understand why fans are so confused right now, you have to look at the long-layered history between Remy Ma and Papoose. This isn't just a celebrity marriage. It's one that has survived prison sentences, public scrutiny, financial pressure, and years of being watched under a microscope. Their bond has always been portrayed as unbreakable, which is why rumors of separation hit fans so hard in the first place. When whispers of trouble first surfaced, many assumed it was temporary. Then came months of distance, solo appearances, and subtle hints that something wasn't right. Still, neither Remy Ma nor Papoose rushed to define the situation publicly. No dramatic announcements, no messy back and forth. Just silence, the kind that leaves room for interpretation. That silence is exactly where Claressa Shields entered the picture. As one of the most accomplished boxers of her generation, she's used to attention. But this was different. Her name became linked to Papoose not through official confirmation, but through appearances, posts, and online energy that suggested something more than friendship. Fans immediately raised eyebrows, not because of her status, but because of the timing. The internet doesn't need contracts or confirmation to form opinions. All it needs is overlap. And once people believed Papoose might be involved with someone new while still legally married, the narrative shifted fast. What could have been a quiet transition suddenly felt unresolved, and Claressa Shields found herself in the middle of a situation with years of emotional history behind it. Meanwhile, Remy Ma stayed mostly quiet. No long explanations, no defensive posts, just occasional moments that fans interpreted as deliberate. Reposts, resurfaced videos, or comments that reminded people of the dynamic she and Papoose once proudly displayed. To some, it looked like peace. To others, it looked like confidence. And to many, it looked intentional. That's why the recent sightings hit so hard. Because when people thought the chapter had turned, suddenly the original story seemed back in play. And once that happened, our fans didn't just question the present, they questioned everything that came before it. This isn't just about who's with who, it's about whether the door ever fully closed. And once people start asking that question, confusion is inevitable. The tension really started to rise when fans noticed that the timelines weren't lining up the way people expected them to. According to online observers, Papoose was still spending noticeable time in New York, in the same city where Remy Ma lives, works, and co-parents. On its own, that might not mean much, but paired with resurfaced content and strategic uploads, it became impossible for fans to ignore. Around the same time, attention shifted sharply to Claressa Shields. Her online activity began to feel more reactive than usual. Stories, snaps, and comments carried an energy that viewers described as defensive, less celebratory, more explanatory. To many, it looked like someone responding to rumors she didn't start but couldn't escape. What escalated things further was how fans interpreted contrast. While Remy Ma appeared calm, confident, and largely unbothered, Claressa Shields seemed to be addressing the noise directly. That difference in tone mattered. In internet culture, silence often reads as power, while explanation reads as pressure, fair or not. Then came the resurfaced video content tied to Remy Ma. Whether the footage was new or old became almost irrelevant. The timing of its release did the talking. Fans saw it as a reminder of the bond between Remy Ma and Papoose. One built on familiarity, shared history, and emotional comfort. The kind of connection that doesn't disappear overnight, even when things are rocky. At this point, the narrative stopped being neutral. Comment sections hardened. People began framing the situation as a triangle rather than a transition. And once that framing sticks, every move becomes symbolic. A post becomes a message. A silence becomes a statement. A sighting becomes evidence. The rising tension wasn't fueled by confirmation. It was fueled by contrast. One side appearing steady, the other appearing unsettled. And in the middle, Papoose, whose limited public response left room for everyone else to project meaning onto his movements. By now, fans weren't just confused, they were invested. Because when a long-standing marriage appears to circle back into focus, it challenges the idea that the story ever truly moved on. And for someone new in the mix, that realization can be unsettling, especially when the internet starts choosing sides. This is where curiosity turned into pressure. Because once people believe something is being quietly reclaimed, they stop asking if and start asking when. The turning point came when fans stopped treating this like coincidence and started reading it as choreography. Not because anyone confirmed a reunion, but because the timing of events felt too deliberate to ignore. According to online observers, the resurfacing of content tied to Remy Ma landed right as speculation around Papoose and Claressa Shields was peaking. And in internet culture, timing is language. What shifted everything was perception of intent. Whether the clip was new or old stopped mattering. Fans interpreted the upload as a signal, a reminder of comfort, familiarity, and a bond that predates any recent noise. To many, it read as confidence rather than explanation. And confidence, especially when quiet, tends to carry weight. At the same time, reactions from Claressa Shields appeared more frequent and more pointed. Viewers described the tone as clarifying, defensive, even frustrated. Not because she owed anyone an explanation, but because once a married couple re-enters the frame, the narrative changes. Suddenly, what felt like forward motion starts to look like unresolved overlap. This is where the situation pivoted from curiosity to consequence. Fans began asking harder questions. If nothing is happening, why now? If the chapter is closed, why reopen old imagery? And if this is just co-parenting, why does it feel emotionally loaded? None of these questions have confirmed answers, but the fact that they're being asked at all marks the shift. What made this moment decisive was the contrast in approach. One side appearing steady and unreactive, the other visibly responding to the chatter. In online spaces, that imbalance often shapes public opinion faster than facts ever could. Silence becomes authority, explanation becomes vulnerability. From here on out, the the story stopped being about sightings and started being about leverage. Emotional, symbolic, and public. Not who said what, but who seemed most at ease letting the narrative breathe. And once fans read it that way, the confusion didn't disappear, it intensified. Once the turning point passed, escalation came fast, not from confirmation, but from reaction. While fans didn't wait for statements, they filled in the gaps themselves. According to online chatter, the situation stopped being about whether Remy Ma and Papoose were officially back together and became about power, positioning, and pride. Supporters of Remy Ma argued that she didn't need to explain anything. In their eyes, her calm presence and strategic silence spoke louder than words. They saw her actions, resurfaced content, confident tone, unbothered energy, as a quiet reminder that history doesn't disappear just because people want a new storyline. To them, this wasn't stirring the pot. It was standing her ground. On the other side, many viewers expressed growing sympathy for Claressa Shields. They felt she had walked into a situation that was never as clean as it appeared. Being linked to a married man with a deep, unresolved history put her in a no-win position. Every post she made was dissected, every explanation was framed as insecurity, and the more she spoke, the harsher the judgment became. That imbalance is what fueled escalation. One woman gaining power through silence, the other losing ground through explanation. Fair or not, that's how internet narratives tend to harden. Once that pattern locks in, public opinion becomes difficult to shift. Meanwhile, frustration increasingly landed on Papoose. Viewers questioned why he remained largely quiet while the women absorbed the heat. Some argued his silence was strategic. Others felt it was irresponsible. Either way, his lack of clarity allowed speculation to grow unchecked, pushing tension higher with each passing day. As reactions intensified, the story took on symbolic weight. And then it stopped being about three individuals and turned into a cautionary tale about overlapping relationships, unfinished marriages, and what happens when new beginnings collide with old bonds that never fully dissolved. People weren't just watching anymore. They were projecting lessons, warnings, and personal experiences onto the situation. By this stage, escalation wasn't loud arguments or public fights. It was pressure. Pressure on Claressa Shields to prove legitimacy. Pressure on Remy Ma to confirm or deny. Pressure on Papoose to finally speak. And the longer that pressure went unanswered, the more the narrative felt like it was tilting. Not toward truth, but toward whoever looked most comfortable letting the silence work for them. And this is where the situation now sits, suspended in silence, shaped by perception, and fueled by timing rather than truth. No official confirmation that Remy Ma and Papoose are fully back together. No clear denial either. Just familiar proximity, resurfaced moments, and an internet that refuses to believe in coincidence. What this has really exposed is how unfinished stories never stay buried. When a marriage with deep history appears to circle back into view, it doesn't matter how much time has passed. Emotions resurface, narratives shift, and new people caught in the middle feel the pressure immediately. For Claressa Shields, that pressure has been loud, relentless, and public. Whether fair or not, the internet has placed her in a position where every reaction is treated like evidence. Meanwhile, Remy Ma's approach, calm, minimal, and strategic, has allowed others to fill in the blanks for her. Silence has worked in her favor, reinforcing the idea that she doesn't need to compete for attention or explain history that everyone already knows. And Papoose, by staying mostly out of the conversation, has let speculation grow unchecked, leaving fans to debate his intentions without guidance. So what's really happening here? Is this a quiet reconciliation? A co-parenting moment being misread? Or a subtle reminder that some bonds don't break cleanly, no matter who steps into the picture afterward? The truth is, no one outside of them knows for sure. But the confusion itself tells a story. One about overlapping timelines, unresolved commitments, and how quickly public opinion forms when clarity is absent. At the end of the day, this isn't just about who's together, it's about who still holds emotional ground. Now it's your turn. Do you think Remy Ma and Papoose are quietly rebuilding their relationship? Do you believe Claressa Shields walked into a situation that was never really over? Or is the internet simply overanalyzing moments that don't deserve this much weight? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. Like the video if you made it to the end. It helps balanced discussions travel further than rumor. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because if this story shifts again, you already know the internet will be watching. Some stories don't end loudly. They unfold slowly, right in front of everyone.